Why doesn't the US Congress use yes and no?
Let's take a look at the terms used in American politics, especially in the US Congress.
The core of American politics is the system of checks and balances, which allows the legislative, executive, and judicial branches to monitor each other and prevent the unilateral concentration or abuse of power. The U.S. government's separation of powers consists of the legislative branch, the executive branch, and the judicial branch. The legislative branch is composed of Congress. The executive branch includes the president and the various departments or cabinet or ministries, and the judicial branch is made up of the Supreme Court and the federal courts or federal judiciary. The name of the national legislature varies from country to country: the National Assembly of Korea, the United States Congress, the Parliament of the UK, and the National Diet of Japan. The United States Congress is a bicameral legislature, composed of two chambers, the Senate and the House of Representatives. Individuals serving in the Senate are known as senators. Those in the House of Representatives are called representatives, or more broadly, members of Congress. The building of Congress is called the United States Capitol, or the Capitol Building for short. The chairperson of the U.S. House of Representatives is called the Speaker of the House of Representatives. It is sometimes referred to as the Speaker of the U.S. House. As of 2026, the U.S. Congress has 535 voting members, comprising 100 senators and 435 representatives. The Senate has 2 members per state, while House seats are apportioned by population. There are also 6 non-voting delegates representing the District of Columbia, Guam, the Northern Mariana Islands, Puerto Rico, American Samoa, and the U.S. Virgin Islands. In the U.S. Congress, the majority party is the party with the most seats, and the minority party is the party with fewer seats. The 2 major political parties in the United States are the Republican Party and the Democratic Party. The symbol of the Republican Party is the elephant, and the symbol of the Democratic Party is the donkey. In the U.S. Congress, the leaders of the political parties are known as floor leaders. Depending on which party holds the most seats, they are titled the Majority Leader or the Minority Leader. Additionally, there are whips who assist the leaders. This title originates from the whipper in British fox hunting, whose job was to keep the hounds from straying. Similarly, party whips ensured that members vote according to the party's official position. The Vice President of the United States serves as the official President of the Senate, but the daily presiding duties are typically handled by the President, pro tempore. This position is third in the line of presidential succession, following the Vice President and the Speaker of the House. By tradition, the role is held by the most senior senator of the majority party. While the Vice President is the formal head of the Senate, they only vote to break a tie. This is known as a casting vote, which allows the presiding officer to decide the outcome when the Senate is equally divided. The term of office of a member of the U.S. Congress is 2 years in the House of Representatives and 6 years in the Senate. The Senate maintains continuity by electing 1/3 of its members every 2 years. A draft made in the U.S. Congress is called a bill, and this bill is a proposed law submitted to Congress. If this bill passes the standing committee review and a congressional floor vote, it becomes a law. In the United States, there are various terms for statutes, such as law, act, and code. The highest law of the nation is called the Constitution. The use of yea and nay in US congressional voting, rather than yes and no, is attributed to the long-standing traditions of the British Parliament. Yea and nay were standard English terms for expressing agreement or disagreement until they were largely replaced by yes and no centuries ago. The British Parliament, which deeply values tradition, continued to use these archaic terms, and the practice was subsequently adopted by the United States during its formative years. According to historical sources, the British Parliament traditionally favored aye and no or yea and nay, because yes and no were considered too similar in pronunciation and could lead to confusion. To this day, parliaments in Commonwealth countries like Canada, Australia, and New Zealand, as well as in the UK and the US, continue to use I know or yea nay as official voting terms. For important bills or controversial issues in the U.S. Congress, a roll call vote is typically held for the final decision. In this method, each lawmaker's name is called individually to record their yea or nay, while the House of Representatives often uses an electronic voting system, where members press a green button for approval or a red button for opposition. They also utilize voice voting, where the presiding officer determines the outcome based on the volume of ayes and noes shouted by the members. A standing vote or division is a voting method used when the outcome of a voice vote is unclear. Members supporting or opposing a measure stand to be counted. The U.S. Congress primarily uses recorded votes, where each member's vote is entered into the official record. This practice ensures transparency and accountability by officially disclosing and recording how lawmakers voted, thus increasing the accuracy of the results. Specialized subgroups of House or Senate members, known as committees, examine all bills. These committees consist of lawmakers with expertise in specific fields, such as foreign affairs or defense, who review legislation before it proceeds to the full chamber. The filibuster, also known as unlimited debate or lawful obstruction, is a strategy in the Senate where minority parties drag their time with unlimited debates to prevent the passage of a bill. Cloture is the process of forcibly stopping a filibuster. This requires the approval of at least 60 of the 100 members in the Senate. The veto is a special right that belongs to the president, the head of the executive branch, allowing them to refuse to sign a bill passed by Congress and return it to Congress. Elections to elect members of the U.S. Congress are called congressional elections. These elections are divided into midterms, which are held in the second year of the president's term, and general elections, which are held in the same year as the presidential election. Candidates who currently hold office are called incumbents in the U.S. Congress. Incumbents have a very high re-election rate. The areas used to elect members of the U.S. House of Representatives are called congressional districts. Residents living within these districts who have the right to vote are known as constituents. Gerrymandering is the practice of drawing electoral district boundaries in a bizarre or odd shape to give one party an unfair advantage. The term originated in 1812 from a redistricting scandal involving Elbridge Gerry, the then governor of Massachusetts, USA. It was named because the shape of the district he created at the time resembled the legendary monster, a salamander. Impeachment is the process by which Congress holds a president or high-ranking official accountable for wrongdoing. The House of Representatives investigates and brings charges, known as articles of impeachment. If the House passes these articles by a simple majority vote, the official is impeached and sent to the Senate for trial. A conviction and removal from office requires a two-thirds vote, 67 senators in the Senate. The U.S. system does not have a separate constitutional court like Korea's for these matters. Among the powers granted to the U.S. Senate is the authority to provide advice and consent for the ratification of treaties. Ratification is the formal process by which a nation confirms its commitment to be bound by a treaty. This requires the approval of a two-thirds majority of the senators present, or at least 67 members if all are voting. Hearings held in Congress are called congressional hearings or simply hearings. A hearing is a formal public meeting conducted by a U.S. congressional committee for legislation, policymaking, and information gathering. Senate hearings are referred to as Senate hearings, while those held by the House of Representatives are called House hearings. Additionally, the process for approving high-ranking public officials in the Senate is known as a confirmation hearing. Today, we covered terminology associated with the U.S. Congress. We hope you find it helpful. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe.